G'day, and welcome to the Seacreatures Podcast, a show all about the amazing animals that live beneath the waves. On each episode, we chat about a specific sea creature with a guest who has spent time and interacted with this ocean animal. Our guests range from underwater photographers, marine biologists, writers, scuba divers, citizen scientists, and anyone with an intense passion for marine life. My name's Matt Testoni, and I'm all of the above. And joining me for this episode of the Seacreatures Podcast is Vincent Doumeizel, and he is a senior advisor on oceans to the UN, and he's just released a new book. Welcome to the show, Vincent.
Thank you very much.
So, Vincent, your book is called The Power of Plankton, and it's all about solutions and hope. You're an optimist, and the fact that plankton's a bit of the base of our kind of world. But today, we're here to talk about jellyfish, which usually I would ask you to describe the animal you've picked. But first of all, tell us how plankton and jellyfish are related. Are jellyfish plankton?
Plankton comes from the word planktos, which means in Greek drifting or wandering. So anything that cannot go against the current is part of the plankton. That's what's the beauty of plankton. And out of the 4 billion years of life on the planet, 3.5 billion were purely planktonic. They were purely in the ocean, unicellular, microscopic organism. When you look at a droplet of water, you may think it's empty, but it's not. You know about it. I mean, it's millions of organisms, abundant ecosystem, teeming with life, and so forth. And jellyfish are definitely part of it. And that's the beauty of plankton, because plankton can include a very wide range of organisms, which goes from bacteria, fungi, zooplankton, phytoplankton, and virus. And if you take the tiniest virus, which is 50,000 times thinner than hair, and you go to the longest or biggest plankton, which is actually a kind of a jellyfish, a siphonophore, which can be up to 100 meters long. The longest animal of the planet is a jellyfish, actually. So it's a very long animal. Then it's like comparing the size of a hand or a needle to the size of Great Britain. So that's why it's a very wide range of organisms. I got interested into plankton because they settle the basis for everything on the planet, and and most of our planet is a plankton planet. And actually, the word planet comes from plankton as well. It means plankton, planet. It comes from planktos. A planet is drifting in the universe, just like the plankton is drifting in the ocean. So we are a plankton planet. And indeed, jellyfish is an incredibly interesting part of this plankton, because they are totally misunderstood, as generally speaking, by many people who only see them for the burns that you have when you go on the beach, notably in Australia, where you have these jellyfish which are very dangerous, which can kill up to 60 people with their venom. So that's the most dangerous jellyfish in the world. I mean, that in Darwin, in the north of Australia. But actually, most of the jellyfish are microscopic. So when you swim, you most likely eat a lot of jellyfish without knowing. It's a broth of jellyfish that you are eating, and they are extremely diverse. There was a jellyfish actually back 650 million years ago, and they ruled the world for tens of millions of years. And then they survived 5 mass extinctions. They are one of the only animal that survives these 5 mass extinctions, and that gets so diverse with an incredible, and that's what is beautiful, and that's where we should get inspired, capacity to be resilient and to survive to anything. And that's what is amazing with the jellyfish.
Wow. I mean, I almost want to call them the cockroaches of the sea because they can survive anything, but I think that would be disrespectful to jellyfish.
Yeah, well, first of all, they have a very important role in the ecosystem. If there was no jellyfish, I mean, the ecosystem would be very unbalanced, and we would have a proliferation of many things that we don't want. So they have a very, very important role. And once again, we have a negative perception of them, mostly because the burns from their venom that we experience on the beach. But they are so beautiful, not like cockroach. Cockroach is not beautiful. Jellyfish can be beautiful. They can be bioluminescent. They can shine in the night. They can be great. On the other hand, we experience now a proliferation of jellyfish as well, due to many things that we'll go in detail, I think. But that's what the problem we have as well. We are going toward an ocean of jellyfish at the moment, and that's worrying part, which is a consequence of everything we are doing on the planet.
Yeah, and I'm super keen to touch on that. But first, my curiosity has been piqued. How did you get so into jellyfish, or how did you become so passionate about them?
No, I was mostly passionate about plankton, and then you realize when you study the life on the planet that over these 3.5 billion years that plankton were the only one, well, there was a lot of mass extinction that we are not, counted because they are unicellular mass extinction, and we only count for we only include the multicellular mass extinction, which date from the last 500 million years ago. And there was a lot of mass extinction before. Because plankton communities, they changed a lot over the last 4 billion years. And then you see that the only animal that really survive is jellyfish. See, we are not killing jellyfish. I can tell you. They are very happy with everything we are doing. And they are, to me, a typical example that what we perceive as a global destruction of ecosystem is just the destruction of the ecosystem that we like and that we are familiar with. But on the other hand, there's another ecosystem that we don't like and that is not what we are not familiar with, which is growing, which is scary for us. As human beings. But the ecosystem will survive. Life will survive. Plankton was there before us. It will be there after us. We will not save the ocean. We will not save plankton, but plankton and the ocean, they can save us. We have to understand that. And I think jellyfish is a very good way to understand that, because first of all, it talks to people imagination. It's not the case for plankton. Plankton is mostly unknown. It's the unsung hero on our planet. I'm so pissed because we keep talking about, plankton are so important. They are so important for our ecosystem. We keep talking at school to children about dinosaurs, and dinosaurs, they are useless. They have disappeared 65 million years ago. Why talking about them? They are useless, totally useless. So let's talk about diatoms and coccolithophore and jellyfish instead, because they are much more important to us. So that's a bit the thing. That's why I want to talk about jellyfish. In general, jellyfish, it talks to imagination, it talks to people, and it's a very good example on how some organisms are really striving in everything bad we do on the planet.
Yeah, so we're seeing like a bit of a proliferation of jellyfish across the globe and spreading into ecosystems. And before we get into like the cool bits of the jellyfish, which I want to talk about, tell us quickly why jellyfish proliferation is bad essentially for the ecosystem we know, as you said.
Well, just like any proliferation, it's not good. It disrupts the ecosystem. Jellyfish are incredible organisms, are devoid of heart, brain, blood, and lungs. They are 98% water, and everything they do is focused on a single objective: the survival of the species. They are quite incredibly optimized organism. They have 2 thin layers of cells separated by an aqueous gel, and they can store the little oxygen they need. So they don't need a lot of oxygen. They can diffuse the oxygen and the carbon directly through this epidermis. So that's great. Their tentacles allow them to move easily through the water column to feed. So they can really feed everything. So at the end of the day, if they are eating and they are feeding on fish larvae. So you would understand that if there's too much jellyfish, they will eat all the fish and crustacean larvae, all the phytoplankton, and then there will be no other species on the planet, and they will absorb and they will kill everything else. So that's the problem. And when swarms of jellyfish show up, it's a real disaster for everything, notably for fishing or for aquaculture. So that's a real problem. We will end up in jellyfish soups, and you cannot do anything. And at some point, there was a case in Northern Ireland where a shoal of jellyfish shows up. It was 26 square kilometers wide. It was that big, 13 meters deep, 800 specimens per square meter. So, and they devastated 100,000 salmon there. The salmon farm, they just and the people in the farm, they cannot do anything because there was way too much jellyfish. So they cannot even move the boat. They were like in this jellyfish broth, and they were stuck here, and the jellyfish killed and devoured all the salmon.
Wow,
that's what proliferation is about. If there's too much jellyfish, they will kill everything else, and they will proliferate. And we have this case already in many places in some European seas. There are only jellyfish. In Namibia, 2.5 more. The biomass in jellyfish is 2.5 more than the one for the fish, while it used to be a very, very nice area full of fish. But now they are proliferating in Namibia, and there's no fish, and there's only jellyfish. So, and that's where we are heading to.
Yeah. Ahoy! Just a quick break to let you know that the board game I've been working on, Big Fish Card Game, is available to purchase off my website, mtunderwatermedia.com. Check it out if you like card games and you love the ocean. It's a really cool thing. We're aiming to get everyone on board to learn more about sustainability and the ocean. Back to the show. So, what keeps jellyfish in check in a healthy ocean?
I mean, the thing is that, and that's the problem we have right now, everything we do bad is good for them, basically. Typically, jellyfish are very resilient. So they are the one who can adapt easily to changing temperatures. So climate change is no big deal. I mean, they like warm water, don't need much oxygen. So it's good for them. They love climate change. Temperature can warm up. They can sustain and survive to much more than what we have right now. So that's no big deal for them. And they will strive into that. Pollution will tend to boost the proliferation of phytoplankton and zooplankton that jellyfish are feeding on. So that's quite good for them. They like pollution. They don't mind with that. And they are not impacted by pollution. Even the plastic pollution, actually. Plastic pollution is good for them because the turtles can eat up to 300 jellyfish a day. But sometimes they grab plastic bags thinking it's a jellyfish. So first of all, jellyfish can hide in plastic bags, and then the turtle will hit a plastic bag and get choked. They will be killed, which is good for jellyfish, and even better because the jellyfish can enjoy the floatability, the buoyance of the plastic to spawn their eggs and spread them around the globe, so they can go further. They can go very far. And you have to imagine that the jellyfish can have up to 15,000 eggs a day. So that's quite massive. They can reproduce. I mean, they are a machine of reproduction. They are very, very good at it. Ocean acidification is good for them because it prevents the crustacean or shellfish to form their shell around them. So it's easier for jellyfish to digest them. Overfishing is very good for jellyfish. It is killing their predator and their competitor. So they are happy with that. I mean, they have less competition, less predators. And once again, as they are feeding on the larvae of their predators and competitors, you can imagine that it creates a big, big imbalance in the ecosystem, and it leads a lot of species to extinction very quickly. So once again, jellyfish, I mean, they have survived everything. I mean, ice ages, planetary warmings, predators, lava flows, volcanic ash fumes, and comet that wipes out the dinosaur. Nothing could stop them. Let's be clear. They will be there. They will remain. And after us, if I have to place my bet on something, if we are stupid enough to kill our own species, they will be the one to survive. That will not be the planet of the apes, but that will be the planet of the jellyfish tomorrow. And we will end up in a soup of jellyfish, and that will be it. But on the other hand, we could also learn from them, and that's the beauty. I mean, they are not only, once again, they maintain the equilibrium on the planet, the balance on the planet, and they have also hundreds of millions of years of evolution when they found solution to everything. I mean, they know a lot more than what we can do. Typically, some of the jellyfish, if they are injured, they can merge, they can fuse in the same organism. Two jellyfish that are injured can merge in the same organism, and the single organism will keep the DNA of the two different initial organisms. So you will have one single organism formed by two DNA of two different organisms. And another crazy thing is the Turritopsis dorni, the famous jellyfish, is the one that is immortal. So they can live
I was going to ask about that. Yeah. So they do live forever. How does it work with them?
Yeah, well, jellyfish has two stages. One that is a polyp stage, and one they are like mobile in the ocean. They live the entire life, and then when they are stressed, when they are injured, when they are in danger, when they are about to die, they go back to the polyp stage. So it's like you, after 100 years of pretty nice life, you come back to the womb of your mother and start a new life again with exactly the same DNA and so forth. They are capable to do that. So that's what is beautiful. It's funny because when I was writing this book, I discussed a Japanese researcher who studies this jellyfish. Shin Kobuta is his name. He's a marine biologist specialized in this immortal jellyfish. And he feels like, no, eternity is long, especially toward the end, and human mind is not ready for eternity. So there's no way we can adapt this to human, because I asked him about it. But my take is that jellyfish have no brain. So that's quite it's definitely an evolutionary advantage for them. It prevents them from thinking too much about metaphysical stuff and so forth. And for an eternal life. So I think that's their main advantage. They have no brain, they have no lungs, no blood, no heart. They are purely focused on surviving.
So if they have no brain, how does their body work? So they obviously have tentacles which catch prey. I think some can even see or detect light. But how does that work if they have no brain?
Well, they have one mouth. I mean, they ingest and eject the food, but with the same organ. They have tentacles, indeed, that allows them to move easily through the water column to feed. Their only internal organs are reproductive gonads. That only thing you see. I mean, except that they are 98% water, and they are made of an umbrella and tentacles. So the umbrella is keeping the gonads. And they have, once again, two thin layers of cells separated by an aqueous gel, which can store the little oxygen they need for the gonads. And then they are very fragile. And that's why you can see a lot of them on the beach, because any shock, anything will kill them instantly. Once again, the only thing they do is to reproduce and reproduce and reproduce. So, they can be bioluminescent. They can create lights in the ocean.
Why?
Well,
Why would they create light?
Reasons for that. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to explain, but most of the planktonic species are bioluminescent. Some of them to scare their predator. Some others to attract for reproduction. Some of them to hide as well. So sometimes, some predators are using the shadow to see when someone is passing and then attack them. So when they create a light, then they will be confused because they won't see the shadow. So there's multiple reasons for that, and most of the species in the ocean are bioluminescent. So they can be very, very inventive as well. There was a lake in Philippines where they were. It was not a lake; it was part of the sea initially, but it closed down for some reason, natural reason. And the jellyfish, they were stuck for hundreds of thousands of years in this lake. So they proliferated and proliferated and proliferated. And they had all the food that was there. There was no other species. And they start to eat each other. At some point, it was not enough as well. So they created a partnership, called that a symbiotic relationship, with a green algae, so that the green microalgae can grow very quickly, so photosynthesis. And then the jellyfish eat the biomass of the microalgae, so they can get fed on the microalgae that they transport. So that's a symbiotic evolution that they have created in this lake, which is quite a nice touristic place because there's so much beautiful and bioluminescent jellyfish. It's a great place.
Yeah. How do the jellyfish, so the algae's growing on top of them, how do they eat it? Because I presume they don't just reach their tentacle up and have a scrape.
No, at some point they just the algae will be detached.
So the algae kind of falls off and then they munch on it as it goes through the water.
Much of it, but they keep a bit of the algae, and then when there's too much of it, it falls off, and then they eat that. But they have the minimum level of algae that remains on their body, so they can keep reproducing.
Very cool. And so, talking of reproduction, I think that's one of the most amazing things about jellyfish is the way they reproduce. But talk us through a little bit the steps and the weirdness and the unknowns of jellyfish reproduction.
Well, they will leave a lot of eggs in the ocean that will end up to be stuck in the ocean sediment. Then they will live alive there with the polyp life. And then at some point, they will mobilize some genes to become mobile in the ocean, to become a jellyfish. And actually, it's a funny thing is that the genes that they are using to do that are exactly the same that we are using in the womb of our mother to start to become plankton, because at some point we are stuck as well in the egg, and then the egg growing up, and then we became a plankton. We became we float in the womb of our mother, and that we use exactly the same gene. So we are not that far as we think, from this animal. In the end,
wow,
it's all the same organism.
Wow. So, because I've always kind of tried to explain jellyfish reproduction as it's almost like this little flower grows on the bottom and then it buds off the actual jellyfish part. But that's the exact same as humans in the womb. That's mind-blowing.
Exactly. Yeah. That's absolutely exactly the same. That's a gene that is enabling that. And that has been discovered recently, actually. It's not very far.
Wow. And so they bud off. Do they bud off one jellyfish? They bud off multiple jellyfish from a single little flower?
Polyp will bound one jellyfish, but there is thousands of jellyfish, up to 19,000 eggs a day. So it's a lot. And then also we have to think once again, I mean, jellyfish can be very, very different. Most of them are invisible. I mean, to 3/4 of them, there are thousands of different jellyfish, and most of them are invisible because they are microscopic. But some can be really, really big as well, up to 2.5 meters for their umbrella, 250 kilograms. With their tentacles, they can be like 36 meters, the biggest one. So they can be really big. So there's a lot of problems right now with this jellyfish proliferation and this reproduction capacity. They are clogging as well the nuclear power plant. I mean, the circulation we had a few nuclear power plants that were stuck because there were too much jellyfish in the power plant. So they can be really bad. Yeah. I mean, in aquaculture, it's kind of a nightmare, because the waste from farm fish makes aquaculture area rich in nutrients, and the infrastructure of this aquaculture, they provide the ideal surface for polyps to attach to. So, and actually a few years ago in Taiwan, in order to combat this scourge, the government closed down all the fish farms for several months. And that brought the jellyfish outbreak to a sudden halt, and everything went back. And because the bad thing is that there's not much we can do with jellyfish. I mean, they can be used as food. I mean, in Japan and China, they eat them. I tried. I've not been fully convinced.
Ahoy! Just a quick one. If you've liked the show, don't forget to give us a rating on whatever platform you're listening to. Back to the show. I mean, they can't be very nutritious, because I know that's one of the problems with like seabirds and different things that end up eating them. They're just vacant calories. They're not calories at all.
Yeah, exactly. They are 98% water, so that's not really interesting. And
we can drink jellyfish.
You can drink. You can put them on your plants. I mean, they can have a bit of biostimulant, and they will the aqueous gel that they have will maintain the water in the soil quite long. So they will keep the soil hydrated, so you can on watering your plant for quite some time when putting jellyfish instead. That was used by the Romans actually already, so it's been a long time. But yeah, there's not much you can do, which is why this kind of proliferation is quite worrying, And like global warming, some people claim that this jellyfish bloom corresponds to cyclical phases of our planet. But the acceleration of the phenomenon and the significant connection to the human activities are increasingly challenging for this kind of reasoning, I think. But you can also try to eradicate them. In South Korea, when I was writing the book, I went to South Korea. They have manufactured machine that can crush 900 kilograms of jellyfish per hour. So it's like exterminating them. But yeah, the risk to me, it's not a very fair solution. They are the symptom of a problem that is pollution, overfishing, global warming. So you don't, you don't address the problem by just tackling the symptom. You need to tackling the cause of this problem. And that's I think what we have to do globally. And I think, once again, instead of exterminating them, we need to find source of inspiration in their extraordinary biological makeup.
What is your personal favorite jellyfish?
Well, I love the Turritopsis torni because it's an immortal one, and I love so much life, and I think it's so good around here that I like to be immortal as well, but yeah, so Turritopsis would be my preferred one. But there's a lot of very beautiful jellyfish.
Yeah, and so I know a lot of people talk about jellyfish as kind of a huge group category, but things like you mentioned stinging, like we've got the box jellyfish in Australia, but we've also got blue bottles in Australia, but they're not a jellyfish, are they?
Well, that's the other thing. We call jellyfish a lot of things. So they belong to very, very different group of different branches. They include very, very different animals belonging to very, very different, distinct branches of life. And we often assimilate the flaccid and translucent form floating in the ocean to jellyfish. But they can be very, very different. You have the ctenophore, the cnidarian, and at the genetic level, there is as much similarity between jellyfish and salps, for instance, as there are between human and insect. So they can be really, really different, and they belong to very, very different kingdoms. So jellyfish is a very global word to name very different organisms. Because remember, we are talking about animals that are the oldest one on the planet. So they have differentiated a lot. While we have, if you take the land animals, any land animals, they are less than 450 million years old, which is, younger, half of the age of the jellyfish. So there's less evolution in land animal than in the jellyfish world. So think about that. That's why we are talking about very, very different organisms that can be the organization, the evolution, the biology may be totally different.
So would things like marine protected areas, do they function to stop jellyfish, or is there any data about that?
Yeah, no, sure. They will function. We need to boost biodiversity. And the only way to prevent the kingdom of jellyfish for tomorrow, to the ocean of jellyfish, tomorrow is really to maintain the biodiversity. And it starts at the planktonic level. It starts by moderating overfishing, preventing the global warming and so forth. If we learn about the biology of our planet, and plankton, they are really like the heart and the blood of our planet. So if we learn about the biology of our planet, then we'll be able to fix everything, to maintain the cycle as they are, because plankton generate oxygen, they generate nutrients, they generate fresh water because of the sulfur gas that they emit and create the clouds. They stock carbon in the deep ocean. So all of this, once again, jellyfish is part of this global ecosystem that is the basis to maintain life as it is on the planet. When you build a house, you don't start with the rooftop, you start with the foundation. And the foundation, you will find all the planktonic activity, including the jellyfish. So we have to turn our gaze to them in order to understand this biology of this world and how to heal our planet and how to make it good for the future. And we will. I'm very optimistic about that. Because of AI, because of genomics and DNA sequencing and satellites, we are able to understand what's happening in the ocean, which was not possible before. So now we can understand the biology of our planet and we can repair it and prevent an ocean of jellyfish.
I feel like it's a really good way of talking to people about climate change and overfishing and stuff. Because if you say like, oh, there'll be no fish, or there's, the temperature's warming, people find it hard to grasp that concept of being bad for them. But if you tell them to imagine a literal army of jellyfish taking over the planet, it's a much more like, whoa, yeah, I want to stop that. Like kind of,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah. And once again, we have to remember that ocean is absorbing 30% of the carbon emission worldwide. So we have to maintain this balance in the ocean to maintain the capacity of sequestering carbon. And that's so important.
Yeah. Well, before we kind of wrap up a bit, if someone visits the ocean, snorkels or dives, and they want to see jellyfish, do you have any tips or hints for someone like that?
Yeah, there's a lot of jellyfish that are very nice to see, beautiful, and that do not harm. Not all of them are dangerous, once again, or even harmful. They can be just beautiful, and you can see them on the beach. You can see them everywhere. They are just fantastic organisms. That's the proliferation, which is once again a problem, and they regulate aquatic population very heavily because they feed on small fish and zooplankton. So eradicating them is definitely not the answer. So yeah, for any diver, you can enjoy most of the jellyfish without any problem. They are just beautiful organisms, and most of them are not harmful at all.
Yeah, I'm always swimming in amongst them, and people are like, "Whoa, you're gonna get stung," and I'm like, "Nah, surely they're not that bad." Like,
yeah. No, they
cool.
are really cool. Yeah.
Well, that kind of brings us to the end of this jellyfish/plankton episode of the podcast. If anyone wants to learn more about jellyfish or more about your book and plankton, what should they do and where should they go?
The Power of Plankton would be the good place to start. We have to say that jellyfish are quite understudied. There's not many studies around jellyfish. There's not many specialists in the world. So we need some people to join us in this, and we need some marine biologists to support and so forth in jellyfish. But yeah, the Power of Plankton book is a very good start. And then you have a global perception of the ecosystem. And then there is some publication, but very little books about jellyfish except biology, which is incredible when you consider the very intense biodiversity of jellyfish. How big is this biodiversity? How many different ones you have? But still, there are very little things that have been written about them so far. While, once again, they contribute to shape our planet as it is, and they will shape the future of our planet. So we have to get to know who they are.
Yeah, just thinking about like everything from, books like about octopus to book field guides about snails. There's like tons of information on that, but I've never seen a book about jellyfish like that.
As well. They are unknown. We all know about them, but we don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
It's high time to get to know them, because once again, they are fantastic animals. The most resilient one by very far, and who knows, maybe they are the future, or maybe they will somehow, in a way or another, shape the future. Because when the animals are so good at resilience, you can also use them in a positive way somehow, and that's, I think, what we need to find out.
Yeah. I just love the mystery of the ocean too. It really makes
Oh
me
yeah,
think like,
yeah,
whoa, we just don't know
yeah.
anything. It's scary, but it's also amazing. But
It
yeah.
is. It is.
Well, thanks very much for being on the show. It's been awesome.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Seacreatures Podcast is hosted, edited, and produced by myself, Matt Testoni. You can see my photography on Instagram at Matt_Testoni_photography. If you've liked the show, don't forget to give us a rating with whatever platform you're listening to. It really helps us spread the word. Also, visit our Patreon, which is patreon.com/SeaCreaturesPodcast. If you like the show and want to hear updates, early episode releases, things like that. Music by the talented and awesome Dan Musil, and production assistance by George McGrath. Seacreatures also has its own Instagram account, which is Seacreatures_podcast on Instagram. Coming up next time on the Seacreatures Podcast, we're going to be talking all about the world of the algae octopus, which is probably a species of cephalopod not many people have heard of, which is super cool and exciting. This has been the Seacreatures Podcast. Over and out.